Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Students, yesterday we discussed the valence bond theory treatment of bonding in carbon monoxide. And I am sure you know that what type of bonding in carbon monoxide exists. So there were three bonds. The bond between carbon and oxygen was triple, and we treated the electronic sharing and all other things accordingly. Let's come to hybridization. So, I am also sure that you are aware of the concept of hybridization. So, hybridization is the phenomena in which orbitals having different energy and different shape combine. And this concept is normally applied in chemistry in order to explain bonding in different species. So, while calculating hybridization or determining hybridization in a proper species, we have to follow certain rules. And one of those rules is that we have to consider the number of lone pair of electrons present on a particular atom and number of atoms attached to a species. And the number of lone pair of electrons and number of atoms attached to a species will determine hybridization in that particular atom. So while discussing carbon monoxide, if you consider the hybridization in carbon and oxygen, so in carbon there was one lone pair of electron and three pairs were involved, or three bonds were there in between carbon and oxygen. But if we consider the number of atoms attached to carbon, so only oxygen is attached. So there is one lone pair of electron and one atom attached to carbon. It means the total number of lone pair of electrons plus number of atoms attached to the carbon are 2. And whenever this number is 2, the hybridization will be sp. On the same side, when we consider the number of electron and number of atoms attached to oxygen, so again there is one lone pair of electron and only carbon is attached to oxygen. So hybridization, what we expect or experimentally we can see, is sp. So both oxygen and carbon monoxides are sp hybridized. So you are also aware of the shape of orbital around the carbon or oxygen now whenever there is sp hybridization. So the hybrid orbital will be more rounded than the unhybridized orbitals. While drawing these hybridized and unhybridized orbitals, we have to consider them like in this diagram. Let this is carbon, and in carbon Pz and Py they are not involved in hybridization, while Px and S they are involved in hybridization to give sp hybrid orbital, which are lying at an angle of 180 degree with respect to each other. So consider this is sp hybrid orbital and this one is sp hybrid orbital. The Py and Pz they are unhybridized, and if they participate in bonding, so their bonding will be different from the bonding of these two hybridized orbitals. Same is the case with oxygen, because sp hybrid orbitals are there and they are two and are opposite to each other at an angle of 180 degree. So two are sp and two are unhybridized orbitals. So this is the electronic structure in three dimension around the oxygen. Uh, let place electrons in these hybridized and unhybridized orbitals. So once again, if we consider the energy of hybridized and unhybridized orbitals, so the energy of hybridized orbital is low as compared to unhybridized, which are normally empty, or maybe some of them are filled. So the energy of hybridized orbital is lower, and whenever placing electrons in these orbitals, we have to consider the energy considerations, because electron will prefer to occupy orbitals with less energy. Since a sp hybrid orbital possesses less energy, therefore electron will preferably occupy sp hybrid orbitals. So sp, and if there are more electrons, then the rest of the electron will occupy the unhybridized orbitals. So now let's bring these two species closer to each other. And since orientation of these two sp hybrid orbital is same, therefore they are capable to overlap sidewise or in a sidewise manner, and rest of the orbitals will be available for parallel overlapping. So this is the structure where a sigma bond has been established between oxygen and carbon because of these two unpaired electrons. And now p orbitals py and pz, they are available for parallel overlapping, and as a result of parallel overlapping you are aware of the fact that pi bond will be established between these two species. So one which is formed by the sharing of unpaired electrons will call sigma bond, and the other bond which is formed or established as a result of parallel overlapping between these two p unhybridized orbitals, so that bond will be called as pi bond. So this is clear that there is a sigma bond between carbon and oxygen, and clearly represented pi bond between carbon and oxygen. And if you go a little bit back to the previous lecture, so another bond which was third one, that was established as a result of complete sharing of electron from one sided, and that was oxygen. So that was actually the coordinate covalent bond, and because of that coordinate covalent bond we also discussed the polarity of carbon monoxide species, that why carbon monoxide is polar, because logically between the electronegativity difference between carbon and oxygen is more, and what we can assume that the molecule will be highly polar because of high electronegativity of oxygen and negative charge. We expect that it would be located on oxygen, not on carbon. But the electronic sharing then becomes reverse, which also neutralizes the effect of charges, and the resultant dipole moment of carbon monoxide becomes closer to zero. So in this case, now we will also discuss in a molecular orbital diagram that what these orbitals are. So they are actually the anti-bonding molecular orbitals, because these orbitals are now not overlappable with each other, and if they are not overlappable with each other, so they are called actually anti-bonding molecular orbital. Now the lone pair of electrons, we have one lone pair with carbon and we have one lone pair with oxygen in this orbital. I'm sorry for forgetting one electron to be placed in this orbit. So we have one pair here, and the one pair electron here, this is it should be shifted to there. Now the resonance forms of carbon monoxide, this is double bond, which is quite clear that this is pure covalent bond, because in both the bonds the sharing of electron is 50% from carbon and 50% from oxygen, and a pair of electron is involved in establishing coordinate covalent bond. So the actual bond between carbon and oxygen is now triple bond. But this bonding in carbon monoxide is a bit confusing, because there are two types of bonds in the same species, covalent and coordinate covalent, and we have to move toward another approach which clearly explains the bonding between carbon and oxygen without any ambiguity, and that approach is actually molecular orbital theory, which is the most advanced form of theories to explain bonding in different chemical species. Let discuss a bit, or let's go back to the electronic configuration of carbon and oxygen. So there are two electrons in p orbital and subshell, and two electrons in s subshell. Similarly, two electrons in s subshell are with oxygen, and four electrons with p subshell in case of oxygen. Now, one s is never involved in bonding because this is inner orbital, and the electrons which are uh, present there, they are called core electrons. So core electrons are those electrons which do not participate in any sort of bonding, and so those electrons are which are part of bonding, or which participate in bonding at any stage, they are called actually valence electrons. or we can simply say that those electrons which reside in the valence shell of a species. This is electronic configuration of carbon and electronic configuration of oxygen, and we have to consider the valence orbital for bonding. So first let's consider the 2s of both the species, carbon and oxygen. So in 2s, oxygen has 2 electrons, carbon possesses 2 electrons, and the structure, probably you are also aware of drawing or making the molecular orbital diagram for species. So whenever electronegativity is different in both the cases, so we have to place that species which has highest electronegativity lower in energy, and the orbital of a species which has low electronegativity should be higher in energy. It means the orbital of carbon is relatively unstable as compared to orbital of oxygen, which is stable. And in this on this axis we have to represent energy, because and energy will increase upward. Now these orbital, they are two in number. They are atomic orbitals because they are under the influence of one or single nuclei. So these atomic orbitals will combine, and also you know that when the number of atomic orbitals combined will be equal to number of molecular orbitals being formed during a molecular orbital diagram. So two atomic orbitals combine with each other to give two molecular orbitals, and molecular orbitals are now of two types. One which is lower in energy than its parents, because these are parent orbitals of oxygen and carbon. And if we consider or look at the energy of this orbital, so it has less energy than their respective parents. So this orbital is now called bonding molecular orbital, and the one which has a higher energy than its parents, that is called anti-bonding molecular orbital. Since the bond is single, therefore sigma bond will be afforded. So this bond or this orbital is called sigma, and this one is called sigma star, or the bonding formed by sharing of these electrons is sigma star. So bonding orbitals are those orbitals which encourage two atoms to come closer to each other, while anti-bonding molecular orbitals are those orbitals which discourage two species to get separated from which to come closer to each other, or they are actually encouraging the separation of two species from each other. Now, since there are two electrons with oxygen and two electrons with carbon, so total number of electrons in atomic orbitals are 4, and we have to place these 4 orbitals accordingly in molecular orbitals as per electronic configuration rules. So 2 electrons will occupy on priority basis the orbital which is lower in energy, and since this bonding molecular orbital is lower in energy, therefore it will be occupied first, followed by uh, occupation of anti-bonding molecular orbital, provided that if electrons are there. Since we have 4 electrons, we place 2 electrons in bonding molecular orbital, and we are left with 2 electrons. So those 2 electrons we have to move or to shift to sigma star orbitals. So whenever they are placed in sigma star orbitals, now we deal with all 4 electrons. So there are 2 electrons in molecular bonding orbital and 2 electrons in anti-bonding molecular orbital. And if we calculate the bond order between these two species, carbon and oxygen, where only S is involved in bonding, so bond order is 0, because they, according to formula, number of pair of electrons in bonding molecular orbitals minus number of pair of electrons in anti-bonding molecular orbitals. If they are equal to 0, it means bond order is 0. If it is equal to 1, so the bond order will be 1, means there will be single bond between the two species, and so on and so forth. So in this case, the difference is 0, therefore the bond order is 0. It means these two orbitals do not participate in bonding, or they have nothing to do with attraction or repulsion of two species which are carbon and oxygen with each other. Now if 2s on both sides, they do not contribute toward bond order, it means they are not involved in bonding, then we have to move toward 2p on carbon and 2p of oxygen on the other side. So While considering these p orbitals, oxygen possesses 4 electrons in p orbital and carbon has 2 electrons in p orbit.